Nadiya here does not like having her nails trimmed, and this is a pretty common problem for a lot of dogs. So I'm going to go through, we're not going to actually trim her nails here because I don't have a Dremel, but I'm going to go through a technique that I use to stop dogs from being reactive to having their paws, nails trimmed. Now, if you trim a nail, the pressure of cutting it actually can pinch on the nerve on the nail. The quick is the area that has the blood flow to it. And if you go into the quick, it will bleed, and it's painful for a dog, just like it is for us when we go underneath our nail. So if you're watching this, you have a puppy, one of the things you want to make sure you do with your puppy is daily manipulate their digits, get them used to and comfortable with you touching them, and without having any bit of a problem with it. If you have an adult that wasn't the case, which is probably what we have here, sometimes you have a situation where we have to take the dog to the vet and the vet do the nails. And they usually are just kind of, they put a muzzle on, they crank through it, and it's kind of really makes a negative situation even worse. I have the high value training treats here. These are the tricky trainers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm squeezing it and letting her chew on it. She's getting little bits of it each time she takes a bite. So it takes her about 6 or 7 bites before it can come off. Now, what I do for this is, before we give you any more, let me explain what's going on. A Dremel, in case you don't know, is kind of like a drill. It's got the same mechanism, and basically on the end of the drill, they put basically a band that basically makes it like a little sander. So you can hold it up against the nail, and it's spinning around, and it's like an emery file around the band, or whatever you want to call it. And so basically it takes a little bit off. Now it will heat up the nail, but it won't cause the pressure that happens with clipping. And also the clipping, a lot of times when we have a dog that's dark like this, the nails are black. I have Dalmatians, so most of my nails are translucent, or my dog's nails, so I can see where the quick is. We can't see for hers. So for a Dremel, what you want to do is you really want to only go, what I would probably do is have them trimmed normally. And then at that point, every couple of days, you're going to go through this process. Now, what I do, does she like her food? Mm-hmm. Okay. So one of the things I would do is I would hand feed her, maybe make her lay down, give her a little bit of food, and then manipulate her digit a little bit. Now, right there, it's me, so she doesn't know me as well. She's been with her guardian for a couple of years, so we're going to do the same thing. So sit. All right, I'm going to chew. I'm going to have you just hold one of her paws and just manipulate her digits, like separate one. There we go. All right, stop. So what we want to do is the first week is just get her used to us manipulating her digits, but they're with her getting either the kibble or this high value training treat. Sit. All right, let's try that again. Oh, give me one sec. Let me nod before. I want to get her started on it. Sit. Now you see her she's getting up. So when she gets up, I would immediately stop at that point. Right now, she's just, I think it's just probably past memories of having the quick go into or the pressure, and so she doesn't like that, and she's communicating, I don't like that. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to let her, before this one, I'm going to just let her chew on the whole thing. Down, sit, down. There you go. Now just put your hand on her paw, but don't touch there, or don't, yeah, there you go. So you see now she's not reacting. Can you shift back like about 2 inches just so we're not covering your, there we go. And now just kind of caress the hand a little bit, the paw a little bit. There you go. So you see now she's staying in a down position and she's not bothered by it because we're not doing anything that she doesn't like. All right, let's stop. So when we're doing this is basically a counter conditioning exercise. So I want to be delivering this treat before we start touching her paw at all. So I'm going to start delivering. Go ahead and touch again. What we're doing is building up some trust, and it's about to be gone, so now. So as soon as the treat goes away, the touching stops. So the only time that she's being touched is when she has this treat delivery. So the first week, what I would do is just feed her little bits of kibble while you're doing this. And now just kind of just touch just one of the nails kind of with thumb and forefinger. There you go. And done. So what we want to do is get her used to us touching her nail without anything bad happening. So this might take a couple days, it might take a week, it might take 2 weeks, depends on how much you work with it. If your dog really likes kibble, you can feed the entire meal this time. So it's really easiest to have 2 people. One person is feeding the kibble, the other person is just caressing that toe. Go ahead and again. So eventually we want to get to the point where we can like hold that digit out separately, like we will be eventually when we're trimming our nails. Now for the Dremel, it makes a sound. So what I would do is spend about a couple of days to a week getting the dog comfortable so I can go through and work on each individual digit for each paw front and back legs, with her staying calm, eating the treats, and she's comfortable and relaxed about it. Once we build about a week worth of credit for that, the next step would be to do the same thing, but this time, instead of touching her nails, what I would do is I would, as I'm feeding her, if somebody has the Dremel, I would have them on the far side of the room, and I would go, okay. And then turn the Dremel on the far side of the room. While she's chewing the treat, she's hearing the sound of the Dremel. And then I'd say, okay, enough. And they turn the Dremel off. So the only time she hears the sound of the Dremel is she was getting these high-value training treats. Now, for the first step, manipulating her paws, we can use her regular kibble for that. She really likes it. For this, we want to start using the high-value training treats. The chicken liver, which is what I have here. So I'm letting her chew on it, and then we would basically go through, probably 10 to 12 treats while a person's turning the Dremel on and off, just so she's only hearing it while she's chewing the treat. And at first, we're going to do this with far across the room. Now, if the dog is really oblivious to it, we can have that person start walking a little bit closer and a little bit closer each new treat, to the point where the Dremel is right here, and every time it goes on, she's not blinking at all. We want to keep on practicing this. This might be one iteration. This might be several practice sessions before you can turn it on or off and the dog doesn't raise an eyebrow. Next step is basically bringing it close to her and doing the same thing, feeding the treat, and just turn it on and off while we're holding the digit, but we're holding the digit and we're turning the Dremel on, but we're not making contact. So we're just getting her used to now these two steps. We talked about off camera about recreating situations one step at a time and building on it. First step is just getting us used to touching. Second, and creating a positive association with the treat. Second step is hearing the Dremel, but no touch, and the Dremel's super far away. Then the Dremel gets closer and closer until it's right next to the dog, and I'm comfortable with it because there's been no negative association. And then eventually what I do is I'm just gonna touch it to the nail with the Dremel off while somebody else is feeding a treat. So I get a treat, touch, and then another treat, next nail, touch, so each nail just gets touched once while I'm getting this high-value training treat. Now, once we get all those things on, then what we want to do is have it on, and this might be several days. It's going to depend on your dog and how your dog progresses. But eventually, when you can go through all these steps and your dog doesn't blink an eye, then you have it on and you just go zzz, just for a half of a second. And immediately afterwards, give your dog another training treat. Maybe pop the whole one in, then pull out another one. So I'm really going to bracket this one. I'm going to have one that I'm going to do this, and then we're holding the nail and then touching, and then that's it. And then the next one, we're going to just pop a treat in her mouth, and we're not going to touch. And we're going to keep on doing this, and you can play around with these elements. Sometimes you can do 2 touches in a row with a break in between, whatever you need to for your dog. But the idea is we want to make it so comfortable for the dog and such a positive association that it doesn't mind having that Dremel. Now, when the Dremel starts touching it, this is the step that's probably the hardest because it's vibrations and it's moving the nail in one direction as the rotor goes. So at first when you do it, just do it, zzz, next nail, zzz. So you're really not doing any actual grinding for a couple days. But eventually it gets to the point where you're able to do it for 1 or 2 seconds and then go to the next nail in 1 or 2 seconds. But she should get a piece of kibble for each one. Now here's the thing, it will heat up the nail. When I used to do this, I would just stick with one nail, do a little bit, take a break, do a little bit more of it, take a break. Now what I do is just do this side of the nail on this one, then go to the next one, well, that's a dirty one, and then go that one, and just one side, and then come back to the first one. Now I do this side of this one, this side, this side, this side. Then I do the middle. So we're doing it in stages, and that allows the nail to kind of cool off so it doesn't overheat. We don't want to go into the quick. It will cause it to bleed, it'll be painful for the dog, and it's going to be a setback. This is something that might take you a week or 2 to do, but eventually it gets to the point where the dog has a positive association throughout. And once you get to that point, then you can do it like every Sunday, and then the dog is that's part of their ritual. And like I said, initially you might doing their whole meal is getting their nails manipulated. It's a lot easier within their puppy. You get them used to it because puppies won't care. They'll be chewing on a bully stick and you do these things. You can also do this with a bully stick and other times, but get used to it. So I can be touching her nails, and she's very comfortable with me doing it and doesn't want to have any nip and doesn't want to try to take it away. And I'm a stranger touching her nails. She's moving them away, but she's not stopping eating the treat. So that shows me that we can get there. It's just going to take a little bit of positive association and patience. Patience is key. If you go to a pet store or a place that does nails or trims a dog, those people work on the hour, and their boss is like, get more dogs through, get more dogs through. One of the most bitten industries out there are people who are pet groomers because it's a stressful situation. There are a lot of other dogs that are also stressed out. It's just it can be a hard situation for the dog to deal with. So we want to do this when the dog's nice and calm and comfortable. It's in the house and we're associating with the treats. This is the benefit of positive dog training. All right, so this is a video on how you can teach your dog to enjoy having its nails dremelled or trimmed.